Hello everyone and welcome to our Circle and Salve Women. Today our discussion is on the art of losing in the game of chess. And so in my article I had spoken about recently getting to play a game of chess with my husband. Now for any of you who've ever played chess, you're probably thinking, okay, big deal, it's a game of chess. But in my mind, again, being analogous, when the queen is playing with the king, it is something else. I've been married to my husband for almost 30 years, really been with him for almost 30 years. And I cannot explain that feeling of, you know what, fight anybody else. But when it comes to then having an opportunity to defeat your king, for me, it is a subconscious thought and perhaps respect that I arrive to in thinking, yes, I want to beat him, but if I beat him, this game is not going to be over until he gets to beat me again. That is how my husband plays, and I've known him for so long to know this, that regardless of what game we play, because he has to substantiate his role, the game's not over until he wins. Now, I have rarely ever played chess, only because I had a brother, very exceptional brother. When it comes to playing chess, he actually learned to play chess before he even learned his ABCs. And so it has been a love and a passion for him. It was something that he and my father, my papa, would actually end up doing together from the time that I can remember. In fact, my earliest recollections would be getting to watch my brother or my dad play amongst neighboring people, and just, you know, having that type of recollection was so strong in my mind, just getting to see that type of activity in just happening before me with all the neighbors coming around. Now, that was something that I respected. That was a father and son moment. And so perhaps I always enjoyed being the spectator amongst many others who just, for me, felt and knew my place to just watch. So when it came to watching chess, I felt like it's always been a part of my life, just getting to see it played and so forth, and knowing the basic rules. Well, it just so happened that in this recent place that we stayed in, I was very ecstatic about this game these game pieces they had, because they were those gargantuan ones where you get to kind of move them, lift them up, move them around, and so forth. And so for me, I'd set it up. I was going to go play against myself, and I was totally content with that. My husband was with the kids, they were swimming, and I was fine and happy to just be in my own world as usual and play. And then all of a sudden I heard the voice of my husband, and, you know, walking toward me saying, hey, let's play a game of chess. I cannot explain to you how all of a sudden this familiar feeling inside of me just started to overwhelm me and make me go, oh my goodness, here we go again. And you have to understand, this is a guy that would say with so much confidence, I could beat you with my eyes closed playing video games when we were back in college, and I'd just try with all my might to beat him. But he, having had the experience of playing video games for so long, he beat me with his eyes closed. And you know, just from that moment on, I am a very competitive person, as is my husband, but we are competitive in different ways. While he is challenged when he loses to keep going until he wins, I cannot take a loss lightly, and most specifically, most heavily against my husband. But I found myself going, okay, just underneath my breath, like taking it in and taking the challenge. And I was strong at the beginning. I was focused. I knew how to play the game. I knew what you had to do. And things come natural when you've seen it first played for so long. And I started to sense that he knew that I was doing pretty well. Just, you know, with me in the game, in zone, and saying to myself, this is my husband, but he has challenged me. Let's go. And as I was playing, I could feel this this familiar feeling again of thinking, okay, I have an opportunity here to beat him. And it was more of this, you know, sometimes we go into this moment where we walk toward what we already knew what was coming. And maybe it's because my body, my mind, my spirit was anticipating it, that it became prepared for it, so that when I got there, I was like, aha, I knew this time was coming. And all it took for him to say was, go. And I kid you not, if he's ever listening to this, I think he knew what my weakness was. And that was just to hear his voice. And I don't want to use the word antagonizing because it's a strong word, but it got to me and it broke my focus. It broke every in-zone mentality I had. And I knew right then and there that I was going to make the wrong move, because all of a sudden, just this inside feeling I knew was gone of this perfected focus I had. And as soon as I moved my rook and all of a sudden it was taken, I knew the game was over. Right away, I knew it was over. And my childish defense, as soon as he had taken it, was, you are not supposed to speak to your opponent when you're playing a real game of chess. And I remember saying that in more or less words, and it was spiteful. And I knew he could tell it was spiteful. And with all my dignity, trying to compose myself without having a fit, just saying that. And as I kept going, because I did not want to accept defeat, although deep inside, internally, I was defeated, he knew. And so it took probably about 30 more minutes until I knew that it would be silly to keep going. In a game of chess, you just know you have to fold sometimes, because it's a waste of time to just keep dilly-dallying all the way through when you know, both of you know, that the game is over. When I tipped my king, I knew I was done. And I cannot express to you that whole night how I could not even look at him. He knew. When you know someone for so long, he knew. He gave me his distance. And I pretended to watch our boys as they were swimming, our youngest, as they were swimming. And I sat there and I honestly sulked. I sulked because I did not want to lose, and I did, and I had to eat it up. I had to swallow those thorns, and I had to accept it, and it was hard to swallow. And I knew that he knew that he had beaten me, which was far worse than I wanted to accept. And my husband, knowing me for so long, without a word, when the boys were ready to come out of the pool, gave me a big hug and just held me, didn't say anything. I am so grateful, because in the past, when we were younger, for those of you who married for a long time, especially for those of you who married young, like as my husband and I had, he would have said in the past, "Oh, don't be mad," and that would have triggered even a much more darker and heavier night. But he didn't say anything, and he just held me and he said, "I love you," And I found it in my words to kind of go, okay, yeah, And so ultimately my message here is, we queens, we know our power. In fact, in the game of chess, we know that we are the most powerful, and that is why we stand by our king in that moment of life where you know that you have to be the main protector, and all of the corners and the walls have to be you, and that is fine. I have never had any problems with that. For me, I take so much honor in being beside my husband, as I know that he has been ultimately, repeatedly, unstoppably been mine. But it is so hard to be defeated by the one person that you know is the person that you are strongest, has made you the better person. I'm making the better person. He makes me the better person. But when you are challenged by that person, by that very same being, it takes you to a level of defeat that is hard to accept. And that was the part for me, is really accepting defeat. And I cannot. It's hard to handle. And I think that when we go against the world, when we're going against other people, and you say to yourself, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let you win this right here, but this isn't the entire battle, right? And you have your losses here and there, and you're constantly going, okay, it's no big deal, it's no big deal, it's no big deal. But when there's something internal with those you truly love, and in this case my husband, and all of a sudden you're being challenged and you're beat, it's this part of you internally, and this is me speaking for myself, where I feel defeated in a different way. It's as if I'm angry with myself because it was my subconscious mind that I honestly felt defeated me. I allowed myself to be wrecked from within, to lose focus, to somehow fall into that I knew this was going to happen mentality. And it wasn't my husband that I was angry with. It gets to be this feeling of this anger from within. And again, it's a strong word, but whenever I allow myself to be subconsciously beat, it's a toll on me that is hard for me to let go and ease out of. And that whole night was very difficult for me. I honestly felt like my breathing was heavy at that time. Afterward, I wasn't hyperventilating, but I was sulking. I was sulking deeply in my own thoughts, thinking, ugh, I lost, and I lost, and I lost, and I lost. And it kept repeating in my head. And I didn't want him to know that I was affected because his queen had been beat. And it's very difficult to accept that and to feel as if you're your king, supposedly, in your home, right, is the one person that knows, okay, I beat you. But it's the strength within you to go, yet I am still the queen. And you want to say, I allowed you to beat me, but it was almost the subconscious thought in me that surrendered or found a way to let him beat me that upset me, that truly upset me. That I allowed myself to be self-defeated. It's this ingrained mentality of thinking that I somehow put myself in a situation where it only takes one word. All he had to say was go. Like I was taking too long. And he said it just calmly, but it's like he knew what triggered me to all of a sudden lose focus. And when someone knows you that well, when someone knows how to defeat you before you're even defeated, it's a feeling that is really agonizing in the spirit and in the heart and in the mind, thinking to yourself, he has found a way in, and he has discovered, I don't want to say my weakness, but he has discovered certain parts of me that can be broken in and infiltrated with his own tactics to defeat me. And it only took that. So my message here is, if you're in a marriage and if you're feeling like sometimes you're always fighting to be right, fighting to always be the stronger one, it's a lot to swallow when you feel that you've been defeated in your own home, because I was raised to always speak up, to be this, to know my own strength, to stand my own ground. I thank my papa for that I saw him allow my mom to be strong in her own stance. But when you're beat fair and square, it is something else, where you have to accept it. And that acceptance is hard. But what I have to remind myself is, rather that he beat me than anyone else beat him, because it is my job to be that queen, that most powerful role, that most powerful piece in his world, to protect him, to make sure that he knows as long as I'm by his side that he is well, that he is capable of continuing on and feeling safe as long as I am there. And that's what put me to peace, honestly, that night, is telling myself, rather me being beaten than for anyone else to beat him. Because if I beat him, the stronger piece on there would make him think that anyone else could beat him too. And it is, I feel, my important role to always remind him that he can overcome anything, and that I am there to believe in him, that I'm there, his strongest piece, to keep pushing him through and making the better person and the best person he possibly can be. And with that, ultimately, to reciprocate that, I feel that I become stronger in knowing that, yeah, I'm a strong piece. I'm the strong piece there is. But it's okay for the king to beat me. Suck it up. Because you still know that there's no other piece that would dare say that you're not the strongest one. So, in the words of my mother, God bless us all, love your partner, no matter how hard it could be. In moments where you lose and you know you have to accept it and you have to swallow the thorns, it's okay. He knows you are his strongest piece, and he is thankful that you're by his side. God bless us all. Once again, have a great day. Keep loving you. Keep being the strong person that you are. We'll see you next time.